Welcome back to this Newswatch special. I'm Aaron Bauer.
I'm Matt Van Winkle.
And I'm Dan Casson. It's been a busy semester and a successful one for Cyclone sports, but let's get to the biggest highlight of the year. Andrew Schneider joins us to tell us more.
Thanks, guys. It's already considered the greatest win in Cyclones history. Iowa State was 27-point underdogs to the #2 team in the nation on senior night. The Oklahoma State Cowboys had their schedule lined up. They were on a collision course with the LSU Tigers for the national championship. The Cyclones would have none of it. Here's a recap of the game.
It was senior night at Jack Trice Stadium as the Iowa State Cyclones took on the #2 Oklahoma State Cowboys. Iowa State's defense was a turnover machine with 2 in the first quarter, including a Jaquez Washington interception and a Jake Latimer fumble recovery. A wayward Jared Barnett pass was intercepted by Sean Lewis and returned 70 yards, and the Cowboys were on the board first 7-0. Iowa State was finally able to put some points on the scoreboard with 7:22 left in the second quarter on a 16-yard touchdown pass from Barnett to Reynolds. Iowa State came firing back with a scoring drive of their own, capped off by a 32-yard touchdown run by James White to make it a 24-14 game. Iowa State's defense created yet another turnover with a Leonard Johnson interception with 12:51 left in regulation. While the offense didn't capitalize initially, Barnett and company started to make things click as they drove 89 yards down the field to tie the game at 24 on a 7-yard touchdown pass to Albert Gary. After another big stand for the Cyclones defense, Jared Barnett had a pass tipped and intercepted by Alex Elkins once again. When the Cowboys failed to get a first down after 3 plays, Iowa State found new life after Quinn Sharp pushed a 37-yard field goal to the right. The game would come down to overtime. Jared Barnett and James White scored a quick touchdown on the first play in the extra period on a 25-yard touchdown pass. After Oklahoma State scored on the ensuing drive, senior Teron Benton intercepted a leading pass to set up the final plays of the game. Iowa State running back Jeff Woody scored the clinching touchdown from 3 yards out, and the party was officially on in Ames as the Cyclones upset the #2 team in the country 37-31.
Senior night, Friday night, ESPN, only show in town. Never beat a top 5 team in Iowa State's history. Win number 6 goes bowling. We have ESPN's online blog gave us a 12% chance of making a bowl. So all those factors combined together, just it combines into the perfect storm.
Once again, the Iowa State Cyclones beat the #2 Oklahoma State Cowboys 37-31 in double overtime. For ISUtv with Matt Van Winkle, I'm Andrew Schneider.
The party indeed was on in Ames. The Cyclones were competitive with #9 Oklahoma the next week. The win earned Iowa State its second bowl berth in 3 years under beloved head coach Paul Rhodes. Now back to the guys at the desk.
Miraculous victories are something Iowa State football fans are getting used to under head coach Paul Rhodes. The 55,000 fans that attended the Cy-Hawk Series showdown in Jack Trice Stadium witnessed an unbelievable Cyclone victory. After 3 overtimes, Iowa State beat Iowa 44-41. The Cyclones defended the Hawkeyes for the first time since The Cyclones defeated the Hawkeyes for the first time since 2007. Quarterback Steele Jantz was named the Big 12 Offensive Player of the Week. Jantz's 4 consecutive touchdown drives earned him the title. In Jantz's second collegiate start, he went 25 of 37, passing for 279 yards. Jantz also rushed for 42 yards.
All right, guys. I guess I personally thought this season was almost 3 seasons in one. You started out 3-0 with Iowa State, and everybody was flying high, and then Texas comes to town, and you saw what you saw in the first 3 games for Iowa State, where you turn the ball over and you eventually lose the game. And then the next 4 games for Iowa State was they got beat up and down the field, offense, defense, especially special teams, especially down in Missouri, which really took the slack into Iowa State. But then they go down to Texas Tech, beat number 20 Texas Tech, who just got done beating #1 Oklahoma at the time. So what is your guys' thoughts about starting 3-0, losing the next 4, and then eventually winning their next 3?
You're right. It was really almost a 3-part series to this season, and it was really funny coming into this fall. You had this quarterback controversy, of course, Austin Arnaud leaving, and so you had Steele Jantz, Jared Barnett, Jerome Tiller, but then Jerome Tiller became academically ineligible, so he's out of the question. Now it's down to Jantz and Barnett. Jantz gets the starting nod and starts off shaky, but then really explodes in the fourth quarter against UNI, goes absolutely crazy good against Iowa, and then had another nice game against UConn, but then all of a sudden fell off the face of the earth. I don't know what happened. Apparently he just forgot to play football. So they brought in Barnett, and really he's stepped up his play. He's improving every week, and that's a good sign for this Iowa State football team.
And for a team that was only projected to win 2 games, well, they were favored in 2 games this year, it's unbelievable to get 6 wins and be bowl eligible. Obviously, the second time in 3 years under Coach Rhodes. It really speaks a lot to how this program, plays the underdog role, and they really do a good job at that. And I've really been impressed, and Coach Rhodes said this after that big win against Oklahoma State. He said, let's not forget that Steele Jantz got this team 3 wins. And I think that's really important to look at because Jared Barnett comes in as a redshirt freshman and does just an unbelievable job. He's really shown, a lot of true colors, and, it's really tough for a freshman to come in and play in a Big 12 schedule. His first game, comes in against, they were playing Missouri, and their team was down, but he led the team to a touchdown drive. And, he's just really impressed me this year, and that's one of the bright spots out of this team, and they're going to a bowl game.
What do you think was the key game besides Iowa and Oklahoma State this year for you, Dan?
Boy, I don't know. It's hard to pick one, I guess. I think in a loss, I think the A&M game is something where they believe that was the game that they switched the quarterbacks, and you really start to see the Iowa State defense kind of step up the game. Iowa State, they don't really allow that many points. People, they did lose that 4 in a row, but the defense really kept them in it for most of the game. I thought those 2 losses to Texas and Texas A&M were not necessarily bad losses. They were decent losses and really proved the character for this team.
I'm going to go with the Texas Tech win because, Iowa State was coming off, 4 losses in a row, 3 or 4 losses in a row. Go down, and they were really just playing terrible football at that point. And they go down, and Jared Barnett goes back to his home state of Texas and just dominates the 20th ranked Texas Tech team. And like you said, Dan, the defense has really been playing well this year. And we look back to the Oklahoma game, the defense really played. It could have been a lot worse. That score could have been double of what Oklahoma put up. And this defense has really been keeping us in a lot of games. Even that Texas A&M game was another big one. That the Iowa State team, Jantz struggled early and kind of got the team out of it early on, but Barnett and the defense really kind of kept that team in the game.
The defense has to get a lot of credit, especially the seniors on that defensive side. The cornerback, Leonard Johnson, Taryn Benton, men up front, Dudge, Rumpelhammer, Dudge, same guy. But Patrick Neal, Jacob Latimer on the end. They really came together as a defense when they knew their offense wasn't going to be quite as strong with a freshman quarterback in Jared Barnett. One game I liked was going over to Storms, Connecticut early in the season. I know it kind of seems like a long time ago right now with
forever.
Steele Jantz as quarterback, but a very emotional win over Iowa, heading across the country and picking up a game on nationally televised game, national TV. Little did we know, the next Friday night game we played would be the Oklahoma State game that everybody else saw, so 2-0 on Oklahoma State. And this year, Hilton Coliseum was back and ready for the Cyclone volleyball team to use after last year's floods. Addie Olson joins us to tell us more.
Last year, the Iowa State campus and Hilton Coliseum were damaged by floodwaters. The ISU volleyball team moved their games and practices to Ames High School. Andrew Schneider and I talked to coaches and players about what it's like stepping back into the Hilton magic.
The Cyclone volleyball team is back in full swing. 12-2 on the season and undefeated at home, they're swimming in Hilton magic.
The more fans you get on your side is always better.
It's hard to believe that just last year, their home court was swimming in floodwaters. After spending last season at Ames High School, the Cyclones are happy to be home.
Our fans are really loud, and I think it's intimidating for teams to come here, and I think it's great to be back. Just like having a big crowd around us again is awesome.
Hilton Coliseum has hosted Cyclone sporting events for almost 40 years. Players and coaches agree it's truly home.
When it gets crunch time and it's 23-all, that opponent is hearing the crowd and hearing the students, and you want that pressure, and that's what Hilton does.
We, in general, just play better at home because we have the crowd behind us.
The Twister sisters will be sure to use the momentum they've gained when they take on Texas this Sunday. Hopefully, having the home advantage will propel them past the Longhorns and on to their 4th Big 12 win of the season.
There's nothing like Hilton with our fans and everyone being able to get in and watch us play, so it's great.
With Andrew Schneider, I'm Addie Olson for ISUtv.
Cyclones finished the season with a 9-2 record at home.
Thank you, Addie. There's a lot of hype leading up to this volleyball season, guys, as you would say. Coming back with senior leadership, Rachel Hockaday, Carly Jensen up front. So, what did you think about the season for Iowa State?
Oh, and don't forget Jamie Straube. She was basically the anchor for this team. And Carly Jensen, obviously the offensive juggernaut that she was all throughout the year, posting double-digit kills seemingly almost every game. But you had a lot of players stepping up, especially a lot of the young girls. Hannah Williams got a lot of action.
Tanisha Matlock as well.
Yep, definitely. She definitely was a contributor. But Kristen Hahn is one of the players that let's key in on, because she was named the Big 12 Libero of the Year.
Very impressive.
She replaced Ashley Mann, who was one of Iowa State's best liberos probably in school history.
Right.
And Kristen came in and really did a nice job replacing really a Cyclone legend here.
And she had something over like 1,000 digs on the season, and very well-deserved win by her to be a Libero of the Year for the Big 12.
Yeah, definitely. And Iowa State, you saw, picked up defensive honors from the Big 12 week in and week out. It always seemed like there was somebody on the Iowa State volleyball team that was getting honored by the Big 12 and either honored nationally. I thought that was very key for Christy Johnson-Lynch. She always has her girls in the right position, it seems like. Yeah. And what do you guys think of this season? They weren't able to beat Texas, went 0-2 versus Texas, ended up finishing second in the Big 12. But what do you guys think as a whole? Second in the Big 12 is it's very tough. Maybe you got your two teams on the bottom, Texas Tech and Kansas, but from about 7th on to 7-2, it's very, very even in the Big 12. What do you guys think of this season?
Yeah, there really is a lot of parity in the Big 12. I guess it's pretty top heavy, Iowa State and Texas, and then you just have all these teams in the middle who basically can just play each other and basically get 500 records amongst each other. I think Iowa State, kind of what was disappointing, I guess, if there was anything disappointing about the season, was the inability to win on the road. I think that they did get that good win in Florida everyone talked about, but that was way back in Labor Day weekend, and they lost 0-3, got a 3-game sweep in Lincoln, a 3-game sweep in UNI, 3-game sweep in Austin. Those are types of losses that are really hard, and I think that if CJL wants to continue being dominant or whatever, I think that she needs to get one of those victories, especially in conference, Texas or whatever. Nebraska's not in the Big 12 anymore, but I think one of those victories would have been nice to further cement this Iowa State team as upper echelon in the NCAA.
And Christy Johnson-Lynch really came into this program and really turned it, a complete 180. And this team the Big 12 is really a competitive league, as we've talked about. And Iowa State this year couldn't, as you said, Aaron, couldn't beat Texas, but they're the #1 seed in the tournament.
We've got a video package coming up right now on the entire season, pretty much in a nutshell, for the Iowa State volleyball team. You won't want to miss that.
In perhaps one of the best seasons in school history, the Iowa State volleyball team finished their season falling to Florida State in the Elite Eight of the NCAA tournament. The Cyclones earned a #1 seed and #4 overall in the tournament after a strong regular season. The Cyclones finished the season 25-6 overall and 13-3 in the Big 12. Iowa State was the host for the first 2 rounds of the NCAA tournament at Hilton Coliseum. In the first round, the Cyclones swept Wisconsin-Milwaukee in 3 sets and went on to face the University of Miami in the second round. Once again, another sweep for the top-seeded Cyclones. Christy Johnson-Lynch and her team would head to Minneapolis for the Sweet 16 to face the hometown Minnesota Golden Gophers. The Cyclones dropped the first set, but came all the way back to win the next 3 sets, taking the match. The Cyclones advanced to the Elite Eight for the second time in 4 years. The match went to 5 sets, but the favored Cyclones could not finish off the match and were upset by Florida State 3-2. The season was capped off by many Cyclones earning top honors. Junior setter Allison Landwehr earned her first All-American honor, being selected as the American Volleyball Coaches Association First Team All-American. Carly Jensen earned a spot on the All-America's second team, and both libero Kristen Hahn and middle blocker Jamie Straube were selected as honorable mentions this season. The team graduates 4 seniors this year: Carly Jensen, Caitlin Mahoney, Kelsey Peterson, and Deb Static.
Switch gears here a little bit, guys, and maybe the most anticipated men's basketball season in history here at Iowa State with the name Transfer U. Chris Allen coming in, Chris Babb, Anthony Booker, and the all-hail transfers that are supposed to take Iowa State to the promised land. We'll see. We'll see. Last year, nobody expected anything, but Iowa State jumped out of their non-conference schedule 13-2 going into Big 12 play. Iowa State got tripped up early this year. The second game of the year, lost to Drake in the Knapp Center. tough place to play no matter who you are. A lot of key games this season. I thought it was big going down to the South Padres and picking up 2 wins. What do you guys think is the big key before we get into Big 12 play for this Iowa State men's basketball team?
It's developing a team right now. I mean, I read somewhere that someone said that this team kind of feels like 5 guys at the Y that decided to play pickup basketball. And it's kind of true because all these, like you said, these big transfer players that are coming in, they have no experience playing against each other or with each other, and they haven't played basketball for a year, and Royce White hasn't played basketball since high school. So you have all these players who haven't played basketball in a game setting at the collegiate level, some not ever. And so they're all trying to get together, they're all trying to mesh. Everyone knows about the trip to Italy and whatever, trying to get the team chemistry and everything going. Right now, it's kind of shaky, and it's almost nerve-wracking to watch them because there's no point guard, and there's no real identity to this team yet, and it's kind of hurting themselves, and it really hurt themselves at Drake.
And that's the word I was looking for, identity. This team needs to find an identity, and I think they can't do it without a point guard. And we saw Boo Boo Paulo, when the team went down to South Padre, played the point a little bit. And I think Iowa State really could utilize him very well because Boo Boo played point guard for Ames High and led him to a state tournament.
And
the
played
state
with
championship.
Harrison
Played with Harrison Barnes and Doug McDermott. So I'd really like to see Coach Hoiberg use Boo Boo more. Maybe Scott's struggled this year. It's no secret. He's not shooting the 3 ball as well as he was last year.
Definitely, like you said, Scott Christopherson's struggling with this shot this year, but I think that's mainly because he's trying to create his own shot. And he's just not that type of player. Right. He's the type of player that's ready to spot up and knock it down. He can't create his own shot. But I think people are maybe a little disappointed early on with the play of Chris Allen and Royce White not being as dominant as they expected. But like you said, they're looking for their identity, and eventually I think this team is going to mesh, and they're going to be a good basketball team. I think we can agree on that, Kaylee. That they're going to be a decent basketball team. So they're going to win. They're going to win games this year. I think it's safe to say that they aren't expected to win. But then they're going to lose games they aren't expected to lose, like we've already seen with the Drakes. And I think they drop one maybe down on the road in Big 12 play to somebody they're not supposed to. So the Big 12, maybe you could say, is a little down this year with only 2 teams ranked right now, but those 2 teams are ranked high with Baylor and Kansas. So what do you see going forward as we enter into Big 12 season and work our way towards March?
Well, I tell you what, with the Big 12, like you said, there's Kansas, there's Baylor, and then there's almost basically everybody else, very similar to volleyball. You think about, well, the normal contenders like Texas, well, they lost every single starter that they had from last year. And so you have something called Jacoban Brown being their best player, but they come into Hilton January 4th, before the students come back, so that should be interesting for that game. That's going to be the first Big 12 game for the year for the Cyclones, and that's going to be a really big test to see how they do in conference. And then, Kansas comes in a couple weeks later, and that's always the big game. And you want to see, I really want to see what happens in that game. I want to, because last year they kept it close. It was a double-digit loss for the Cyclones, but they kept it close throughout. And I really want to see what Freddie Hoiberg dials up against Kansas. I want to see like you said, Royce White continue to emerge. I want Scott Christopherson to step up his play because right now he's shooting 10 for 27 from beyond the 3-point line. So there are a lot of things to work on. Obviously, a lot of good pieces around, but it's just, like I said, developing that chemistry and basically just, like you said, finding their identity and stepping up their play overall.
And here's something we do know about this team. We know they have scorers, we know they have playmakers, and we know they have guys that can play the game well. All these transfers, Fred Hoiberg didn't recruit these guys, bring these guys in for no reason, Obviously these guys can play. But the one question I have about this team is, can they play defense against the Big 12? And I think that's the big question. It's been the big question the past couple of years for this team. Obviously with Craig Brackens leaving last year, we lost a big defensive presence with him. But it's going to be interesting to see, Royce White needs to step it up for me. I mean, he's our biggest guy on the court right now, and Anthony Booker as well. And I haven't really seen a great defensive effort out of them. They get in foul trouble a lot. They turn the ball over a lot. It's going to be interesting. They've been playing better defense as of lately, but obviously that loss to Drake, just a very poor defensive effort.
Well, I tell you what, what's lost in all this mix, we talked about Scott, but Melvin Edgem, I mean, this is a guy that had a pretty pretty darn good, productive first year here at Iowa State, and all of a sudden is now lost in the shadows with all these transfers, not getting the minutes that he probably wanted when he came in here. That should be interesting to watch what Melvin does throughout the year, because right now he's looking like the player. He's like the most overall player right now. Gets the good rebounds, really good down low. He's playing at a level that should be in the starting role, but because of all these talented transfers, I should say, he's not getting the minutes that he wants. And I would be interesting to watch if Melvin Edgem gets more minutes coming forward, if players like Babb and Royce start to stumble a little bit.
Definitely. So, Melvin Edgem, he's gonna have to be the glue of this team. He's gonna have to bring all these individuals and form, hopefully, as we work our way through the season, a team. This team shoots a lot of threes.
Yeah.
So they broke the record for most threes in a game earlier this season. So Iowa State is gonna live and die by the three, I'm afraid.
Yeah.
And you say we don't have a point guard. We also don't have a true five. Jordan Rayleigh, all 6'11" of him, isn't a true five. He's not going to be able to stand in there and battle with the big boys in the Big 12.
And one guy that's really impressed me so far is Tyrus McGee. He stepped in there as a freshman and hit 17 threes. He's 17 for 30 from three-point range. So very impressive out of him just to come out there and step it up and hit the big three.
So, the Iowa State men's basketball team is always, a lot of unknowns.
Yeah.
But one thing you can hear at Iowa State, one thing that is always known is Bill Fenley on the women's side is going to have a team that's going to come in and they're going to compete. They might not be as talented as every single team that they play, but they're going to compete hard each and every game. And Hallie Christopherson, a true sophomore, really is a bright spot moving forward this year, as well as the freshman point guard, Nikki Moody.
Wow, Nikki Moody has just burst onto the scene. Yeah. You saw in the Drake game what she really can do with the basketball and without the basketball. She's putting up the points. She's putting up the assists. She's really creating for her team, and it's really something that the men's basketball team is missing right now. It's a true point guard because she's running that offense and running at a very high level. And then you have the players down low, Pop and Christopherson, who are each contributing very well. And right now, this Iowa State women's basketball team is looking pretty good, perhaps even better than we expected. I don't want to get everybody's hopes up, but because we did lose Kelsey Bolte last year, but this Iowa State basketball team on the women's side is looking pretty good right now.
They're looking very good, and I mean, Anna Prinz is another name we got to mention. She hasn't played 1 minute this year because she was out with an injury. I think it was a leg injury. I don't know exactly what it was, but she was the big defensive presence last year and got a lot of the boards for Iowa State, which I think they're really missing right now. We look at the numbers right here. Chelsea Poppins is averaging just about 12 rebounds a game, a double-double out of her. Hallie Christopherson's got 7, but you look down the list and no one really comes close to them at all. Guys.
Rebounding is always huge in women's basketball, no matter what level you're at. So, in Anna Prinz, like you mentioned, that's the type of girl Iowa State's going to need if they're going to compete with a juggernaut like Baylor.
A Big 12 team. Any Big 12 team, for that matter.
Anna Prinz, she's going to have to, work down there hard against Brittany Griner if Iowa State's even going to stay close in that game. But, Bill Fenley, he had that health scare. He's still working through that. Absolutely. So it's going to be a different kind of season for him. He's not going to be able to yell like he did, but he's still going to yell.
Got the hand signals going.
Still going to get the girls' attention. But Lauren Mansfield is another girl I wanted to focus on. She kind of had her first year here at Iowa State, almost a breakout year, really came and showed the Iowa State University what she can do, showed the fans from Australia. Everybody's hoping we could get another
Allison Lacey.
Yes, another Aussie to come up here and just be awesome for Iowa State. So, real quick here, what's one key focus for Iowa State this season, and where do you see it finishing in the Big 12?
I think it's Nikki Moody really establishing herself. I think that if she continues to improve her play, if she matures, she is a freshman, so she will make those freshman mistakes, as it will. But if I see Nikki Moody continue to improve and the post players continue to perform like it is, to be honest, I have no problem seeing Iowa State in the NCAA tournament, finishing 5, 6, or 4 to 6 in the Big 12. I think that's easily in reach for the Cyclone team if everything falls in place.
One big thing for me is going to be scoring inside. The Cyclones have relied a lot on the outside shots. I think they really need to work Poppins and Christopherson. Once they get Prinz back, really work the block and try to get some buckets down low because they're going to need them against those Big 12 teams.
I agree. I think Iowa State will make the NCAA tournament. I think they're going to be about an 8 or 9 seed. It's going to be tough. They're going to struggle. They're going to have growing pains. They're going to struggle on the Big 12 as we move through the season.
Right.
But, Bill Fenley's going to have them, like we said, competing each and every game. And I think they'll finish about mid-pack in the Big 12 and about an 8 or 9 seed in the NCAA tournament. We got to take a break right now, but coming up after the break, Carl Lecce and Tessa Callender will tell you about a popular pet shop moving to a new location, as well as International Week 2011.